And as we sit here, 26-0, a shutout win, first shutout since 2010 against the Titans as well. That was the Andre Johnson, Cortland Finnegan game. We'll talk about that.
Never heard of it.
We'll talk about that. I like that we were in here, Seth. We're in the studio, and they were showing a montage on ESPN leading into SportsCenter of all the victorious head coaches in the NFL yesterday giving their post-game victory speeches. Mm-hmm. And I like that D'Amico Ryans was able to take part in that montage.
He qualified.
He can still do a victory speech.
I mean, there's one less victory speech than there should be in that montage after we saw a tie yesterday.
Yeah, is there a tie speech that you give afterwards?
Bill Polian. Yeah, sure there is. They're like, yeah, you guys, hey, it's like kissing your sister. And so forth. Mm-hmm. Yes.
They would celebrate that in some places.
I know. That was Tennessee,
yeah.
ironically enough.
Ironically enough, yeah. Good day yesterday. It was not dicey, a little boring for a while.
It was dicey. It was dicey in this way. Because when I went back and watched the game, I like to try to watch the TV version immediately after the game just to kind of fill in any blanks in my knowledge. Mm-hmm. I'm watching the first half, and my first thought was, okay, this wasn't nearly as bad as it felt while we were watching it in the first half. I've got the benefit of hindsight, obviously, but they scored 2 field goals. The problem is that, they could have had a touchdown, except CJ just misfired completely to a wide-open Dalton Schultz. But the process and the way the offense was operating, even though it was against a bad defense, was better. If the Texans were 2-1 going into that game and I'm watching the first half, I think I would have felt like, all right, well, the defense is taking care of business. The offense is just not clicking just yet, but the dam will be about to break. So it took longer than it should versus a bad defense, but by and by, it was a much more efficient day out of the offense. They ended up just dominating time of possession.
38 minutes to 22 minutes.
Ran a boatload more plays than the Titans. They were the better football team out there, which is hopefully what you do if you're an above-average team going against a horrendous team. You should have scores like 26-0.
Yeah, 26-0. Yeah, the dam broke in the fourth quarter. I'm kind of with you on that. And I went back and watched it myself last night when I got home. And yeah, look, again, you're right. If they were 2-1 and this were a team that had a good offense throughout the season, were 11 plays each and ending in a field goal, I don't think you'd be super disappointed. You took a lead in a game against a bad team, but you'd be like, okay, where's the 11 plays, 40? You almost have to try to go 40 yards on 11 plays.
That's the problem. It's precisely the issue is that they haven't been able to get into the red zone.
Yeah,
and we're sitting there, like I told you yesterday, they almost got to the red zone. They didn't. That was right up when CJ misfired to Dalton Schultz.
Right.
And that left them at 4 on the year. And I told you about my Uncle Charlie who had lost his finger in a farming accident. Yeah. And I said, old Uncle Charlie can still count the number of red zone possessions on one hand.
Well, not anymore.
Right, not anymore.
Not anymore.
Now he feels the brunt.
Did you tell Uncle Charlie about the fourth quarter?
No.
When they got in there twice?
It'll sting worse than the phantom pain in his...
Get out that second hand, Uncle Charlie.
His phantom finger pain, yeah.
Get out that second hand. You're going to need it to count the red zone trips for the Texans. And so I think that, to me, Seth, the big thing, and we'll talk about Baltimore in the next segment. We'll talk about the Astros, too. Don't worry.
They won.
But they won yesterday.
There's 2 big victories
They won yesterday. It was a big day for Houston.
Aggies are extra happy, of course.
Yep. I think the biggest things coming out, to me, the biggest positive coming out of this game is Woody Marks. Woody Marks was outstanding yesterday. And Woody Marks, and I think you and I kind of alluded to this late in the week last week, that is this the week where we start to see they figured out, might have been in the pregame show, I don't remember. They figured out after week 1 that Damian Pierce is not game. Mm. They figured out after week 3 that you can't have Dario Gumbawale out there, especially if his job is to pass protect.
Yeah.
So it doesn't give you a deep running back room at all if you've got 2 guys that aren't very usable on offense, but Nick Chubb is a vet who's kind of serving his purpose in helping you sustain 11 plays, 40 and 60-yard drives for field goals. But Woody Marks is showing that next level type stuff where he's doing what Joe Mixon did a little bit last year, where he's making something out of nothing at times. He's running to the edge, and you see the play developing. You're going like, okay, this guy beats the defender to the edge. This is going to be another 15 yards turning it upfield. Woody Marks yesterday had 21 touches for 119 yards and 2 touchdowns. And I'm not saying it's going to be the Woody Marks show or anything, but the distribution of touches yesterday, at the very least, needs to be this moving forward, where he's getting the 20-plus touches, Nick Chubb's getting the 12 to 15 touches, and this is your backfield.
Well,
right now.
and I thought another positive development in the second half was Nick Chubb got it going a little bit more, too. And there were,
you need them both.
Look, there were more examples of the offensive line getting really good push on the line of scrimmage. They got shut down a few times. It wasn't like it was an awesome day running the ball. But it's the combination of Woody Marks as a runner, but then also as a receiver in his 3 receptions. That screen for a touchdown, obviously, which is very well executed by the Texans as an offense at the whole. Because they had they had faked it to the left. Jeffrey Simmons red screen, but went to his right, and they just set it up perfectly. It was timed well by the offense.
On the post-game show, and we asked him, we asked him to take us through each of the touchdowns. And he said they've been running that play in practice all week long. And the last practice, they messed it up, actually. The last time they tried running it in practice, they didn't run it well, but they ran it well yesterday.
No, they did. They did. And, what have we been clamoring for? I think this is my little pet theory for why, after the game, a lot of people were dead set on not being happy about that victory.
It's almost like they went into it saying, I'm not going to be happy regardless of what this looks like.
And I think part of it, too, is I don't know how many actually watched the fourth quarter, and I wouldn't blame them for it, because the Texans still didn't get down into the red zone until the end of the third quarter.
That's right.
So there's this there's this pent-up frustration through the first 3 quarters. I totally 100% get it. I was right there with you. But I do think also you get kind of peeved when you've been clamoring for Woody Marks to be used more for 3 straight games, and then when they finally do it, it works out.
Yeah.
There's a tendency to say, what are we paying you guys for? Why are the decision makers not making the decisions that the fans, the media, everybody else has been clamoring for?
I said this in the post-game show. It's not just the Woody Marks thing. It's a weird blind spot that the Texans have had with that room for over a year now.
With the running backs.
With the running backs.
The commitment to Dameon Pierce.
The commitment to Dameon Pierce. And then in week 1 this week, we're all going, this has to stop. And then finally he's inactive. The Dare Gumbawale thing, where why is he on the field in critical downs in week 1? He fumbles the football, and then he's struggling in pass pro. He can't be out there on offense, and then lo and behold, 3 weeks out there anymore. Because the rest of the roster, maybe other than offensive line, they've done a fantastic job of finding and putting the right people in places to succeed. That running back room is just such a strange thing, but Woody Marks having the performance yesterday, hopefully, I think, calibrates that room for DeMeco Ryans, Nick Caley, and whoever else.
Well, and the other thing I was nervous about in the first half was we had at least 2 misfires by CJ, who at the time was still playing pretty efficiently. His completion percentage was high the entire game, but he had the misread with Christian Kirk. Wasn't on the same page with Christian Kirk. And then he had the wild overthrow to Dalton Schultz.
And he chest tapped on both of those,
right? There wasn't any doubt about it. And credit to him for not doing the old Deshaun Watson thing where he would do the like little
do the
diagramming
X's and O's in the air.
Yeah. So but all right, what's going on? Why is CJ just a little off today?
Yeah.
And by and large, though, other than that, very efficient. Had completed about 80% of his passes, and got that in order in the second half. And the precision came back. So I felt better about that.
I thought it was interesting. This was not a scramble play like the play in the Chargers playoff game was last year, where CJ fumbled the ball, chased it down, rolled out to his right, and then Xavier Hutchinson. It turns into playground ball, and Xavier Hutchinson's open. And then you look at the numbers before that play, horrific. After that play, he was piecing. This wasn't as drastic on the play or in terms of the difference in the numbers. Where the Charger game, CJ was really bad. Okay, the Nico Collins 2nd and 33 play. 2nd and 33, they're backed up. They had just had a couple of bad penalties. They had a bad play on first down where they lost 3 yards. And then Nico Collins beats L'Jarius Sneed just on a straight go route down the sidelines. Here's what it sounded like on the
CJ in the gun, 2nd down and 33 from the Houston 18-yard line. Woody Marks in the backfield. CJ looking. CJ lofts the ball downfield, left side, and caught. Nico left side, and he's got it in Tennessee territory. You need a first down, just go to number 12. He gets it for you.
He gets it for you on 2nd and 33. Before that play, as you point out, CJ was, efficient by completion percentage standard, only 5.8 yards per attempt.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of dinking and dunking and whatnot. 13 of 17 for 100 yards, only 5.8 yards per attempt and a 90 passer rating. Including that play and after that play, 9 of 11 for 133 yards, 2 touchdown passes, over 12 yards per attempt. And he had a passer rating that was nearly perfect of 156. It was almost like, and CJ talked about that after the game. We don't have time to get to the cut in this segment, but CJ talked about that after the game, and I think D'Amico talked about it too. Like that was, I mean, granted, it wasn't until late in the third quarter, but that was the play that seemed to kind of at least somewhat break the logjam for him.
And there's a lot of it that you just, it's part of that maturation of a young quarterback where you can't press too hard, but you got to take the opportunities and hit them when they come to you. So that Nico was one moment where, all right, L'Jarius Sneed has a bad read and coverage, and
nobody helping him over the top either.
Right.
Clint was in the press box. Clint was apoplectic up in the press box.
I know, and he just wasn't even didn't try to even put a hand on him.
Right.
Which I don't know if maybe a safety screwed up on that, but then on a Nico Collins screen early on, too, it looked like L'Jarius Sneed smack-talked his way into his own head.
Yeah.
Because he did not. He had a couple of rough days, downs out there.
Yep.
But biding your time, taking what the defense gives you, all of that, you just got to be really judicious in figuring out when do we take our shots and versus when do we just dink and dunk and matriculate our way down the field.
Yep.
And I think CJ's starting to get that a little bit. And it's the hardest thing in the world because it's not about intelligence. It's really about psychology and experience and everything else. And I don't know if there's a way for young quarterbacks to learn it other than getting banged around a little bit their first 3 years.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of faith in the process.
Yep. No, he took the easy money a lot yesterday, and then finally was able to get a couple big plays. So that was good to see, including a touchdown to Jaden Higgins.
And the touchdown to Jaden Higgins, especially, that's what you've been waiting to see. He recognized the look, figured he knew what the safety was going to do there, and they were going to leave. There wouldn't be any safety help over Jaden Higgins. So CJ tweaked the play, dialed up his shot, and that's what we've been hoping for out of this offense.